Love that he's running in dirt because we can see how much force that he's able to create in his feet. And then we're going to go a little bit into how to make it so you don't fall over when you're running as well. I think that will also be a great thing to learn for everybody that's watching these videos. So let's go ahead and get started here. First, I would say that, from a starting perspective, the freeze, I mean, as he transitions out, really, you can tell he's definitely more of a distance guy. He gets out and he doesn't have he has an okay kind of transition from his beginning steps. He kind of pops up a little bit in his initial movement there. Doesn't maintain a great spine position, but very, very quickly gets into his full stride, which is, I think, what is one of his big strengths. Now, as he's going, let him get into a little bit more of a stride here. But notice, and obviously this is the freeze, and this is the guy he's racing. And I guess I want to real quickly say, I think a great learning experience or a great thing to learn is whenever you're in any type of race, any type of competition, you don't want to celebrate too early. You don't want to get too pumped up too early. This guy's all excited even from the beginning because he just knew or thought that he knew that he was going to win, and the freeze is coming after him hard. So now let's get into when he gets into his full stride. Notice, I mean, you can tell he has a great ability and also had a great background because when he's turning this curve here, he's still able to maintain a very, very open stride. I mean, look at how far out in front that foot is in that step. And then as he gets that curve going, look at that, how far out in front his foot is. And then he initiates that pull back, boom, and he gets that foot back right underneath him. I mean, to be able to get your foot that far out in front and then to drive that foot back and to make it so you land with everything nice and straight is excellent. The next thing, I mean, with his pullback, he could probably get a little bit faster. This is kind of his weak point is when he pushes off of that back leg. I mean, it's not bad. But he could do a little bit better job to not let that foot get stuck too far back behind him. We've seen some guys that are able to do that part of his run more effectively, but he definitely makes up for it in the ability to get that leg out in front there and pull back. I mean, this is a huge, huge advantage that he has is that, I mean, being able to open up as well, extend out, pull back, get that foot right up underneath him. We've seen that so many times as a positive. And then you can compare that to the guy that he's racing against where, he's just not picking up near as much speed. He's not getting that foot very far out underneath him and not getting too much of a pullback, and is also not getting very much of a push off, letting that foot way back behind him. See how that's happening there? Which is not what you want to be doing. You don't let that foot back too far behind you there. And as the freeze gets going, as he gets closer and closer, he really does a good job of starting to get much better push off of that back leg. And notice as he's pushing, notice how that dirt really pushes off notice his steps and how much force he's creating into the dirt in comparison to the guy that he's racing against here. Just not very much of a hole, not very much of a kickoff that he's getting. You can see the kind of the darkness and where he's pushing off in comparison to even, I mean, this has even been a second after he's pushed off here, and you can still see how much force that he's getting in each one of those steps, which I think is awesome to be able to see, how big and how much force that he's creating into the ground as he's running. I mean, look at that divot right there that he's creating in comparison to who he's going against and his ability to kind of create that same force with his legs. And also notice how cyclical it is. I mean, it's very, very quick in how much time he's spending on the ground. Again, in comparison to the guy he's racing against. I mean, notice how, here, let's see if we can sync up when they're both touching the ground. Boom, they both touch the ground at the same time right there. And then transition. Now Mr. Freeze is touching the ground, but look at how much longer of a stride that he took. Boom, in comparison to the guy he's going against and how long of a stride he took. And then also where he was able to land. I mean, you can see that the Freeze is a guy that definitely has a track background. Also notice his arms. Okay, now that it's getting a little bit closer, we're getting that elbow all the way up to his shoulder on both sides. Guy he's facing, he's very, very side to side. He doesn't do a bad job of getting his arms back behind him, but arms out in front are he's wasting a lot of motion here and coming across where the Freeze is coming straight up, especially with that right arm. That right arm is very effective. You could probably get a little bit better in that left arm and how he brings that left arm up. But right arm, he definitely makes up for it, and he does a better job of creating just extension here on the right side. So he gets that elbow back. Left side, he does a little bit more on the rotational side with the spine. I'm talking about the Freeze here. And so now he's starting to catch him again. Look at how big the divots are that the freeze is creating compared to the divots that the guy that he's racing is creating on each one of his steps. And that's how you could tell. I mean, it's a lot about force activation. How you create more force at the ground is how you is how well your cycle is, and how much efficiency you have in each one of your steps. Now, as we get into the falling stage, and this is how not to fall, we'll notice here how the arm swing is, right? So he's coming across a little bit too much. He does a good job. The guy that he's running, where he has some positive, is when he's pushing off the ground, he does a good job of creating kind of an upward force there. And now on the left side, notice how he's creating that upward force. But now, as he lands on this right side, this is the first time where he doesn't get upward force. He's like, okay, now I need to get kind of an outward force. He tries to create horizontal activation because he realizes that he needs to start speeding up. And now he lands on this leg where most of his weight is coming forward instead of most of his weight coming upward. He obviously immediately lost his overall spine angle, and now that's going to transition into and really not a very effective landing strategy within that left hip. So now he's not able to get that good nice cycle on the right side, and he's starting to tumble here very, very fast. Once you get to this position, and you can't, if he could have regained his hip here, if he could have bent his knees a little bit more, and try to gain more hip stabilization and get that spine up, he could have had a chance, but definitely not with how that hip kind of locked out. Boom, you can see how that hip kind of loses control, and now he's going down fast. Left foot really has no chance here. He's just going to be able to just hit the ground hard there. And the freeze is kind of swollen up because he's noticed that now the guy has no chances, starting to fall over. So, yeah, I think that was I mean, definitely an interesting video to be breaking down, but I think a very, very beneficial, right? Something that I hope a lot of people will be able to see this. I hope a lot of people will be able to benefit from it. And yeah, the freeze is obviously a big sensation right now, just because he's just killing guys. And I mean, the start difference there, I mean, look at how much of a difference it is between when the freeze starts and where this guy's at. I mean, to be able to hawk somebody like that, catch somebody from behind, I mean, the dude's a freaking stud. Thanks for watching the breakdown here. If you guys want to find out a little bit more about us, the Performance Lab of California, you can go ahead and click the link below. We have online programs. We have online ebooks. We have as many different things that you can try to find in terms of how we can provide more value for people that are trying to run higher, run faster, jump higher, really do anything that can improve their overall athleticism. Thanks for checking out the video, and we will see you soon.